Welcome back in. It's time for Money Tuesday. You remember financial experts used to always say, buying a house is smarter than renting. You build equity, you're appreciating value, but maybe renting makes more sense in some cases. Joining us to talk more about that is Marshall Clay with the Welch Group. Good to see you this morning.
Hey, good morning. Good to see you.
I mean, owning a home, that was the American dream, right? You end up owning it. You have something that's appreciated. You're able to pass it on or sell it for value. So when would you want to rent?
Well, I think certainly I'm an advocate of owning longer term, but I think there's always circumstances where renting may make sense. And I know last week we talked about putting yourself in a really good financial position so that you don't get in a situation where in the short run you may have to sell that asset at a lower price than what you paid for it. Right. So that's when renting may make sense, is when you can't put yourself in that really solid foundation to enter into the home purchase.
Well, it's very difficult right now, especially for first-time home buyers, to save up enough money for that down payment. Even if they were to get an FHA loan, depending on how much the home is worth. So that's the big challenge too.
Yeah, you're exactly right. I mean, if you're talking about a $400,000 home, like you said, there are some government programs out there that will allow you to avoid the down payment. Some will, not require you to have that 20% down payment, but there's additional primary mortgage insurance that comes with that.
Right.
So when you're talking about that big lump sum expense, I mean, that takes some opportunities away from you to maybe pay down some other debt. To maybe do some other life events, whether it be get married. People have different priorities, so avoiding that down payment can allow you to do some other things.
Well, I'm going to tell you right now from personal experience, trying to get my AC fixed, it costs a lot more to get your AC fixed. Just things that happen, and that to me is where I wish I was in renting right now.
Yeah, I mean, there's a saying right now that people buy the payment, they don't buy the price of the home. But I would tell people, look, owning a home is a lot more than that mortgage payment. I think particularly if you're purchasing an older home, things will break, and they will break frequently. So you've got to anticipate those additional expenses. And certainly when you're renting, the landlord is responsible for most of those major expenses. You may be responsible for some small upkeep here and there, but for the major expenses, the landlord is responsible for.
Now, you say no investment risk, and we saw that with what happened in 2008. A lot of people were upside down on their home loans, but talk a little bit, expound on that a little bit.
So one of the most important tenets of investing is you never want to put yourself in a situation where you have to sell an asset when it's temporarily down. Okay, so in the short run, I believe there's a lot of risk out there in the housing market. You've got rising interest rates, you've got all-time high prices pretty much in every major metropolitan city right now. So if you have a long-term time horizon, and this again equates to every investment, you typically will be all right. But I'm talking about the people that are really riding that fine line of not having that emergency cash, don't have strong cash flow, or overextending themselves, and their income or that mortgage payment is disproportionately high relative to their income. You're putting yourself in a risky proposition, I think, over the next 1 to 3 years.
Marshall, if I'm reading the tea leaves correctly, are you saying you think that we could have another housing crisis? It may not be as long as the one that we went through in 2008, but
I think there's significant risk out there. So I think if you're walking that fine line and you're not in a position where you can rest assured that you're going to be able to make that payment for 3, 4, 5 years down the road, you need to be very cautious about looking to buy.
And maybe if you're looking to sell, might go ahead and do it, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right, Marshall Clay from the Welch Group. We do appreciate it.
All right, thank you.
All right, we got more here on Good Day Alabama.